studio and bear with me. Whoa, where is my phone going? Just bear with me for a second here while I get everything kind of leveled out. So everything's kind of straight and even, and that is not even remotely close. Okay, that should be good. Let's get that out of the way. Hello, everybody. Again, welcome back to the studio. This is Carla. Thank you for stopping by to watch my next episode in my weekly Throwback Thursday videos. For this Thursday, I am using the Sunshine and Tulips bundle. So there's the stamp set, and there is a set of dies. Now, this is still, well, it's well, how do I want to phrase this? This is in our current January to April mini catalog. And when we get to this point in time every year, we start to um, go from one catalog, or actually two catalogs, into a new one. So this one was in the January to April mini catalog. And then we also have our annual catalog that both of them will, their end date, I think, is May 4th on the both of them. And as we get a little bit closer, there are times that those things that are not going to carry over, once supplies sell out, then they kind of go on a discontinued list. Now, when it comes to this bundle, I haven't checked right before I went online, but the set of dies to this bundle had already sold out, so now it's considered discontinued. But the stamp set is still available. So, because of that reason, that's why this is going to be a Throwback Thursday. So, hopefully, if this was a set that you saw in the catalog or you saw online that you really, really liked, that you had the opportunity to purchase it. So we're going to do two cards with this. We're going to use this whole like background die right here. And of course, we're going to use the stamp set as well. So the first one that I'm going to do is pretty easy and simple and quick to do. So let me pull out my set of stamps. And let me get all my little bits and pieces here. And it's not much. There's like three pieces. And so for my card base, I have a piece of basic white thick that measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of strawberry slush. This is the two-tone cardstock, so you can see one side's darker, the other is lighter. And with this cardstock, basically what it is, it's got that white core there. So it's white cardstock. It's thinner than our regular cardstock. White cardstock, and then you have the color is actually printed on both sides of the paper. So again, the darker side matches much closer to the actual color that's with the ink pad and the regular cardstock, and then that other side is just a lighter shade of it. This cardstock is, what's nice about this is that some of the different techniques that you can do. So if you were to tear this, like say towards you, then you would see that white tooth of the paper. The other thing too is using your embossing folders with it. Emboss it, and then you can take a sanding block, lightly sand it, and then those raised areas from your embossing, you'll see the white. So a couple of different things that you can do with this cardstock. So for this one, I'm going to use the light side of it. This measures 5.25 by 4. And then out of a scrap piece of basic white, I have die cut this die. This is part of the textured notes set of dies. Let me take a quick peek because I know that this was also on the last chance list, but let me see if it's still available. Let's see. Uh, this may be gone too. I don't see. Let me get the actual item number off of this. Okay, so these set of dies, these are actually gone now too. So, okay, so another item that is retired, and again, the Sunshine and Tulips. Yeah, right now it's just the stamp set that's available, and here in the US, uh, that is $18, so it's the regular price. So again, the set of dies, which I think are like the really wow factor of this bundle, is currently it's gone now. So again, this is why it becomes a Throwback Thursday, because items are now officially gone. So I'm going to take my card base, I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to burnish this. Okay, and then I'm going to take my two-tone cardstock piece, and again, I want the light side of it, the part that's going to be the part that you're going to see. This is going to be our background, and I will center that like so. Okay, and we'll set that aside. Then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. We're using photopolymer, so this is what the stamps are going to be going forward with Stampin' Up. This was something they announced, I want to say, it was 2-3 months ago, that that the stamps, because the materials for making the red rubber or our cling stamps was starting to get harder to source. So they decided that now all the stamps were going to be photopolymer. So for this, I'm going to bring in 3 stamps. I want my greeting that says thanks for your thoughtfulness. And then you got a couple of stamps here. You got your leaves for your tulip. You got your outer petals for your tulip. And then this one here is for the center. So we just need those few. So let me get some blocks here and put these on. And that right there. Okay, so for my ink, I'm going to bring in my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to stamp my greeting. I'm going to center it, and it's going to be towards the bottom of my die cut. Try and get that straight. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in Strawberry Slush ink and my Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to start with my Granny Apple Green. I'm going to do those leaves first. And I'm going to stamp this 3 times. So I'm going to start kind of eyeball to find the center. Stamp that right there. And then I'm going to stamp one off to the right of that, and then another one to the left. Okay. And then let's bring in Strawberry Slush. And I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to start off with my open petals here. Ink this up. And I'm going to come as close as I can to those 2 leaves. And I'll stamp that. I'm going to stamp this 3 times. Okay. And then this is our centerpiece here. So I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm going to line this up to the bottom and just come up, and then there is our centerpiece, just a little bit lighter. So stamp off again. Like so, and it kind of fills in these little shine lines right here on the petals. Okay, so there we go. Let me close this up. And let me clean my stamps really quick. Use my chamois so everything's all squeaky. I do want to make mention, if you've been around Stampin' Up! For a while, one of the things that we had what we had for cleaning stamps are Stampin' Scrub. So this has like that, this reminds me of those painting pads that you can get. And so this is actually retiring, and it has been marked down a little bit. So if you're a fan of this, and maybe you want to get another one, I did get another one of those. So because once they're gone, they're going to be gone. So all right, so there is our piece. Now I want to bring in some dimensionals. And I'm going to use this piece. I'm going to cut some. I'm going to use the edge pieces on here. So let's cut right here. And let's see. I know this whole thing isn't going to fit. And let's see. We're going to do this side too. Down. And let's see what else. Where else can I put that there? I gotta tear some of this. Okay. And we'll remove all our paper backings. Oh, as an FYI, if you hear squeaking, kind of like in the background, my assistant is here, and she's like sitting just a few feet away from me, and she's crafting in the studio as well. So if you hear that squeaky noise, that's just her moving around in the chair. Okay, back to the card. And she's probably sitting there, I can't believe you just said that. Yep, she chuckled. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to center this like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in, this is the Strawberry Slush faux linen ribbon. So this ribbon is very nice ribbon actually. This came out in all of the newer, well, not now, but the 2025 to 2027 in colors. So Strawberry Slush, Timid Tiger, Darling Duckling, Cloud Cover, and Secret Sea. Those colors, they are carrying over for another year. However, this ribbon is not. So it is on the last chance list, and it is also discounted as well. All right, so I am going to make a little bow. And I don't want my loops all that big, so just make them a little bit smaller. Okay, and then actually I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to use this side. Okay, and then I'm going to get my ribbon scissors. And I'm going to trim the tails down some. And this ribbon will fray. Okay, so let me put that in there, and then I'm going to bring in my glue dots. All right. So I'm going to put a glue dot on either side of that knot, so then that way my bow will stay on my card, and then I'm going to stick that right down here underneath my greeting. Okay, then for some embellishment, we've got to add a little bit of bling to this. I'm going to bring in, what am I bringing in? These are the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. So these are not on the last chance list. However, the ones just like this that are, let me show you, that are in these in colors, Peach Pie, Pretty in Pink. This is Shy Shamrock. There's Petunia Pop, and then you don't see Summer Splash. These are the in colors that are retiring. So these are on the last chance list. I believe they are discounted a little bit. What's nice about these, they're fairly flat, so there's not a whole lot of bulk to them. And they're just very pretty. So let me get my take your pick tool, and there's 3 different sizes here, and I'm going to of course use my Strawberry Slush, and I'm going to add these on my white stamped panel here. So add that, and one more right up there. Okay, so there is the first card. This card is the nice and quick card. The next card we're doing, that's going to be a little more time consuming on that one. And when you see it, you'll totally understand why. So there is the first card. So a lot of pink, and of course you can change this up. You can do it in purples, you can do it in blues, you could do it in yellows. Just change up the color of the paper and the color of ink, and you know, as far as your ribbon goes, find a color that's the closest. If you don't have a particular color that's exactly, you know, a Stampin' Up ribbon. But there you go. There's our first card. All right, now let me bring in what our second card is. Now this one is a case off of the card that that's either in the catalog, or if you look online, you will see this. Now, what I do want to do here, I have a little jar, and there's a lot of, I did all of my die cutting ahead of time. So I want to take all these little bits and pieces here, and I want to put them in here, and of course I'm still losing them. They're all over the place. All right. Okay, and so we are using the two-tone cardstock for this project as well. So my card base, again, is basic white thick, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Then I took a piece about 5.5 by 4.25 inch in size. This is the Granny Apple Green two-tone cardstock, and I die cut it on the light side. So we got our light side facing up. Out of a piece of basic white, this is one of the dies. This is kind of like this label die right here that's in the set of dies that goes with the stamp set. Then in here, so my yellow well, they're not daffodils, they're tulips. Now there's a way you can do this where you're not using as much cardstock. I clearly was not thinking when I did this, but this whole entire die here, I had die cut this whole thing in Daffodil Delight, and then what I'm keeping and using are the tulips. So I have 4 of those here. Okay, so this is out of regular Daffodil Delight cardstock. And then I die cut this whole thing again. And I am using, how many are here? 3? I think that's all this. 3 of the tulips. Again, that's Calypso Coral. And then I have, this is Berry Burst. This is the two-tone cardstock. So I die cut 3. Well, I die cut the whole thing actually. But 3 of the tulips on the dark side. And then there are these more detailed ones in here that I die cut 3 of these, but I did this on the light side of them, and then these we're going to glue on top of the darker one. So this is going to add a little bit of dimension on there. Again, light side of the Berry Burst and the dark side. And then these little leaves, I'm not going to take these out. I die cut some on the dark side of Granny Apple Green, and then there's a few in there that I die cut on the dark side of Garden Green. So that's all our little itty bitty pieces. So let's go ahead, let's fold and burnish our card base. And let's see, bone folder. All right, then let's see, I am going to take some linen thread. And I'm going to also bring in my reverse locking tweezers. That's from the Embossing Editions kit. So I want a piece that's going to be long enough. Now, I'm not going to tie this around and then tie my bow. I'm going to do it this way because this isn't very sturdy. So trying to tie like a tight bow on it, I don't want to end up damaging this. So the easiest way that I know to do this is just to take a piece, and let me see, I don't have my tape over here, so let me grab that. All right, so I'm going to take a little piece. Okay, and then okay, come on. I'm going to wrap this around. Okay. This is definitely one of those cards you would not want to mass produce, because this is, like I said, it is well, just a little time consuming to put together. Now on this tape, what I want to avoid doing, you see how the petals on this are kind of die cut. I want those, I'm going to pop these up a little bit after I add those other die cut leaves on top of them. So I want to try to avoid adding any tape over those pieces, so that way I can pop them up. Right, so kind of pull that as tight as I can without bending my cardstock here, and the tape don't want to come off my finger. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to trim these just a tiny bit because I don't want them, the tail, you know, the ends of these to poke through where my leaves are when I go to pop them up. All right, so we have that. All right, and then I'm going to add a bow to this, but I'm going to do that last. So then that way I have, you know, I have the access I need to place my pieces where I want them. All right, so let's see. I'm going to take my piece, turn it over, and I'm going to add dimensionals. So there's not a whole lot of big space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my mini ones. And my take your pick tool. I find it's a little bit easier to do this with my tool. And I'm going to add my dimensionals. So we'll go here. And I want to kind of come in between where the flowers are. Because this is a little bit thinner, I want to make sure that this is going to have, you know, enough of the support with these dimensionals. So on this, I'm not going to be skimpy on it. Over here. Okay, and then one more right down here. Okay, so what I do want to do, I want to actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add my leaves first. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add my leaves on here while it's still flat. And so let me dump out my leaves. Now, these darker ones, these garden green ones, these are going to go to the berry burst tulips, and then the dark side of the granny apple green is going to be for the Calypso coral and the Daffodil delight. So I'm looking at my sample card so I know which ones are going to be placed where. So I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of glue. On my leaves. I don't want to go too crazy with the glue. All right, then I'm going to use my take your pick tool and pull out my little tip here. And let's see, we're going to do our dark granny apple green, and I'm just going to line this up with the die cut lines there. and press that down. Okay, and then this one. Now I want to make sure that I line these up within that die cut line there of the leaf, because if I go over, then I'm not going to be able to pop that leaf up. All right, and then this last one over here is going to have the garden green. Add just a tiny bit of glue. And place that one right there. So I'm going to repeat this. Again, I'm looking at my sample card over there. And so now this one is going to have garden green. All right, so this piece here that I'm going to stamp my greeting on, it's going to go in the middle, so it's going to be covering these two middle ones up, so I'm not going to put anything in these two here. And then this side here is going to have Granny Apple Green. Okay. Then let's see. This one here. Okay, and then now for this row, we're going to have dark Granny Apple Green on either end over here. Okay, here. The card, it's not a difficult card to make. It's just a little bit putsy, a little tedious, because you're gluing down all of these little pieces here. All right, and then Granny Apple Green over here. Okay, and then we have our bottom three. So the ones on either end are going to be the dark Granny Apple Green, and then the one in the middle is going to be Garden Green. And again, you don't want to use a whole lot of glue. I'm seeing that a little bit is kind of oozing out a little bit. I hope that it's not going to hinder me when it comes to popping up these leaves. right. So right here. I got this one. Okay, and then this last one here on the bottom. This is going to be our garden green. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take and kind of pop out these leaves like so. So kind of pop them out. And again, the ones that are in the middle, we're not going to worry about those because those are going to be covered up. It's a little bit easier to pop these up before you place it down on your card base. All right, so now I'm going to take off all of these backings. All right. And then I'm going to place this and center it on our card base. Come on, go on straight. Sticking up a little bit. Need to go up a little bit higher. So if you have to take this off, be really careful. Again, the two-tone cardstock is not as thick. Actually, let me burnish this again. So that way it lays flat and it's not popping open. All right. That looks good. So now I'm going to press that down. And again, I'll be able to pop up these leaves. All right, so now we're going to put our flowers in. But before I do that, I want to take these more detailed pieces here that I die cut on the light side of the berry burst. And I want to put these on these tulips. So to do that, I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. And let me get these pieces. So the dark side is going to face up on these more detailed pieces. And then I want these on here. Okay, so for this little tip, this is a silicone brush that you would use in your kitchen. I got like a set of 7 of these, fairly inexpensive, off of Amazon. These are kind of like the smaller ones. All I did was I trimmed off some of the bristles because the bristles would be out like this, but I trimmed it down just a little bit lower. We're going to take some of our liquid glue. We're going to add some right over here. And then I'm going to kind of tap my brush in there. Now I want to hold these down. I really don't want these things to move. And I'm going to add some glue to that. And then get one of my tulips. And I'm going to stick that right on there. You can see that that's really, really thin. That particular die. So there is our first little tulip. So we'll put that aside. We're going to do the same thing now with these other two. Okay. And then our last one here. What I want to avoid doing is getting the other side of this, the part that's going to be facing up, and getting any glue on that side. So that's why you want to kind of hold this in place while you're tapping that glue on there. Okay, so now let's line this one up. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over and just press it. Okay, and so there are those 3 berry burst tulips. And let me move this out of the way. And that cleans up very easily. If you use some Scotch tape or packing tape, you can press that brush into it and then it'll take any of the dried glue out of that brush. And then when it comes to the silicone mat itself, you can use tape to pick up that dried glue, or you can just rub it and it'll come up fairly easily. All right, so now we're going to take our tulips, not daffodils. That's Daffodil Delight. So again, there's 3 Calypso corals, there's 4 Daffodil Delights, and then there's 3 of these Berry Burst. So I'm going to start up at the top here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of glue in these spots here. And Daffodil Delight. Just going to kind of fit that in there and press it down. And we can get that to sit in there. Just kind of pop this up. And a tulip will sit right in there. Okay, Calypso coral. You'll kind of feel it pop in place. Okay. All right. Berry burst. All right, so now our next row, I'm going to add another berry burst there, and then Daffodil Delight over there. It is an interesting color combination, but I think this, it really all comes together, these colors really, really well. Okay. Then again, these two middle ones here, we're not gonna fill those in. So we have Daffodil Delight. Node Shift. When you don't use a whole lot of glue, the glue tends to want to dry a little faster than you want it to. Okay, and then the coral. All right, now for our bottom three. All right, Calypso Coral. And I'm going to bring this under just to pop it up. All right. Berry Burst. Okay, so this is all. Okay, so that's in there, and then our last one. Yeah, that's the putsy part of this card is gluing all your extra little pieces down. So now I can come in and I can then fluff up these leaves. Now these inner ones, I'm not going to do those quite yet. But we're going to stamp our greeting piece. Okay. Okay, so there's our leaves popped up. Well, kind of, sort of popped up. Okay. Now we're going to set that aside. We're going to bring it, close up our glue first. What I am going to do on here, I'm going to bring in my larger dimensionals. I know I got a couple here. And I'm going to double these up. So I'm going to put them right here in the center of where these flowers are, or these flower openings. And I'm going to double stack my dimensionals. Because I want this popped up, I need more than one, because if I only put one, then it's going to be level with this whole thing. This whole back panel here. So I'm going to double them up. Okay, set that aside. I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat again. I'm going to bring in my Berry Burst ink. Get that out of the way. And then for this one, I'm going to choose the green that says, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. And get my block. And I'll make that straight. Make this up. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp this right here in the center. Okay, there we go. And let me clean my stamp. If you clean your stamps fairly quickly after using some of the ink colors like Berry Burst, some purples, some pinks, reds, they will stain. Your photopolymers, I mean, you're not going to get them completely clear like when they were brand new. However, if you kind of clean it right away, then you can see that it's not too bad at all. As long as you clean it, your stamp is still going to stamp the way it's supposed to. All right, so I'm going to move this, and we're going to pop up these leaves right here, these inner ones. Okay, and then I'm going to center this to the best of my ability. Kind of, let me turn it this way. Maybe I can get it a little bit easier this way. Let's see. Does that look good? Is it straight? That's important, right? It's got to be straight. Okay, that looks good. So we'll just press down, and now these leaves will kind of overlap it just a little bit. All right, so then we're going to add our bow. So I'm going to take a piece. I think that'll be good. And I come under. Tie my bow. Like so. All right. And then my little tails here. Just trim these down just a smidge. All right, and then I'm going to add, now this is what the card would look like in the catalog, but I think this card needs a little bling to it. So I went with something really, really simple and clean, and that is our rhinestone basic jewels. These come in like 1, 2, 3 different sizes. There's a whole lot of these tiny ones, so I'm going to use these tiny ones. So I'm going to add one there, one right there, and one more right up here. Okay, so there is the second card. So a little bit of time consuming, a lot of little die cut pieces that we ended up gluing in place, but again, I think this color combination of this card is really nice. It looks very springy. And again, using that two-tone cardstock, it does give you some other options. You know, you can use the light shade of the color, you could use the dark shade of the color, and yeah, so I really like how this one came out. So let me bring in the first one. The first one was all about the pink, and so very quick and simple card to put together. And again, we use that two-tone cardstock again, using the lighter side of the strawberry slush, as our background. So there are our two cards using the Sunshine and Tulips bundle. Again, the stamp set is still available in the online store. Unfortunately, the set of dies not all too long ago, maybe about a week or so ago, had retired. So now they're discontinued. So because of that, that's how Sunshine and Tulips became my Throwback Thursday for today. So hopefully you were able to get the bundle when it was still available. Again, I know the dies are kind of like the big deal about this bundle, but the stamp set is kind of nice too. I mean, you can stamp your tulips. You got a row of tulips. You got some mixed font greetings, sending a garden of love. If friends were flowers, I'd pick you. Hello, thinking of you. Good days ahead, and thanks for your thoughtfulness. So, with that, that's all I have for you in this episode of Throwback Thursday for this week. Tomorrow night, Friday, April 3rd, it is Good Friday, and I will not be live. However, I will have a kind of live. So, just like this, I'm going to actually film it live, but it's going to be unlisted as I'm doing it. And then I will have it scheduled to post the normal time that I would go live on Fridays, and that will be 6 p.m. Central Time. So, with that, everyone, I hope you'll stop by tomorrow night and catch the one that I'll be doing for tomorrow. And I'm going to be using the Blessed Beginnings bundle. This is a bundle that's currently in our online exclusive. It's still available. It's not on the last chance list. So hope you'll take some time and give that a watch. Now, if you like the projects that I made, if you like, I got lots of other videos. I think I got, this will be like 361 videos that I have on my channel. If you like the content, if you gain some inspiration by what I've made, um, not only like the videos, think about subscribing, hit that notification bell, and it'll let you know when I post another video and also when I go live. Both, you know, the comments, the liking, the sharing, all of that stuff, it does help me in not only growing this YouTube channel, it also helps me in building my Stampin' Up! Business, and it kind of gets these videos in the feeds of those that like to do card making or paper crafting. So until next week with my, again, another episode of Throwback Thursday, everyone have a wonderful Easter or Resurrection Day, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.